Okay, so here's an example to show you how the balancing scales work. Solving equations, or solving for x, or solving for the variable, means that we want to find out what is the possible value for x, so that when I multiply 4 times x, it gives me 8. So both of these sides are equal. By equal, we also mean balanced, so we're going to do them on the seesaw in a minute, or on the balance scheme. So my equation is 4x. 4x is an expression. I have an equal sign, equals 8. The fact that I am making two expressions equal to each other makes it an equation. These are both expressions with one term, but that's okay. Remembering that 4 is the coefficient, x is the variable, and 8 is a constant number. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to balance these out. I have 4 x's, so I'll put 1, 2, 3, 4 x's on one side, and I will put 8 on the other. This is sort of a nice little, whoops, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now on the 8th, everything balances out nicely. Okay, so now I have 4x equals 8. 4x's on this side equal 8. Now intuitively you say, well, if 4 times something equals 8, what does the x have to be? Well, I think most of you can see that x has to equal 2. There's no other number that you can multiply by 4 to give you 8. This is a quite straightforward problem, but also if you look at it, you say if I bought 4 x's and it cost me $8, how much would I pay for each one? Well, if I divide by 4, divide both sides by 4, I will get my answer. What happens here is we know that 4 over 4, 4 divided by 4, is the same as 1. So I can replace these two numbers with 1 over 1. You also know that 1x can be written as x. So I end up with x over 1. So I have 1x over 1 equals x over 1. You also know that x over 1 is the same as x. So on the left-hand side, I end up with x. 8 divided by 4. 4 goes into 4 once. 4 goes into 8 2 times, or twice, which gives me 2 over 1, which is the same as 2. So here's the mathematical way to do it. X equals 2. Now take a look at over here. Okay, now we look at this side. What did we do? We divided both sides by 4. So I'm going to choose the divided sign. I'm going to choose 4. I divided by 4. Let's see what happens. I end up with 1x on this side, 2 digits on the other side, which means that I have 2 digits on this side, which means I have 1x equals 2. Makes sense? I hope. Okay, the next problem. Let's see what, if we just say new problem, let's see what it gives us here. It gives us 3x plus 1 equals x plus 3. Let's do this one below. So 3x plus 1 equals x plus 3. Now in these examples, all will be positive. We'll get to negatives later. So I'm doing 3 x's on this side, and then I have 1, which I have 1 block here. Each of these is 1 unit. On this side, I have 1x, and then I have 3 units, 1, 2, 3. Now it balances. That's what the equal sign means. It balances. I hit continue to make sure I'm okay. Now it says, what do I want to do to both sides? Let's go down here for a second. Now what you want to do is you want to get all the x's on one side of the equal sign with the coefficient. That coefficient will change depending on what you do. And you'd like to get all your constants on the other side. So you'll end up with something like 5x equals 12 or 6x equals 13. And later we'll see that you can throw some negatives in there. So while we're looking at this, what do I have on this side that I don't really want? Well, you know what? I have 1. And if you look over here, there's the 1. So what can I do to get rid of it? Well, I can subtract 1. So I hit the subtract sign, 1. I didn't put a negative 1. That's not the same thing. I'm just subtracting 1. So I hit go. I'm going to subtract 1 from both sides. It disappeared from here, and it also disappeared from this side. So what we can do, which works quite nicely, is we can work like this. Put a line down the side and tell me what you did. Well, I subtracted 1 from both sides. So I now have 3x plus 1. I subtracted 1 from this side. And on this side, I have x plus 3 minus 1. I subtracted 1 from both sides. Later on, you'll be able to leave out this step. But until you understand it, it's an important step to write. plus 1, positive 1, minus 1, we know that gives me 0. So here I simplify, I have 3x. Now on the right side, I look at it and I say, can I add x plus 3 minus 1? Well, I can add these two because they are like terms. The x and the 3 and the negative 1 are not like terms, but these two are. They're both constants. So I write down my x and I say, okay, positive 3 minus 1 is 2. So I end up with x plus 2. If you look up here, that's exactly what we got. Now I look at it and I said, okay, I have my constants on the right. I need to get this x over on the other side. I have how many? I have 1. There's that little invisible 1 right there. I have 1x on that side. I don't want it there, so I think you're thinking this already. I can subtract 1x. So I'm going to hit subtract. I'm going to take away 1x. See it right here? If I subtract it, it's going to disappear from there, and it should disappear from there too. Take away an x, go. Look at that, it disappeared. I have 2 left. So now I'm going to do the same thing here. I'm going to write down I subtracted 1x. This keeps things clear. So on the left side, I have 3x. I subtracted an x. I want to keep things nice and even. And then here I have x. I can put, it doesn't matter which order I can put it in. I can put it right here because it's probably easier. And I put the plus 2 on the end. So this is my original 1x. Subtract the x and add 2. So what happens to these two? Well, positive x minus x gives me 0. So I have 0x, which means I don't have any. So there's no sense writing them down. I have a 2 on the right. On this side, I can put these together because I have 3x minus 1x, which means 2x, collecting like terms. Now, this looks an awful lot like the one at the top. 4x equals 8, 2x equals 2. Remember what we did up top? We just divided by the number in front of the x, which is also called the coefficient. This is the coefficient of x. Why? Because I have 2 of them. Say I buy 2 x's, they cost me $2. Well, how much does one cost? Well, divide both sides by 2. These two cancel and give me 1 over 1. 1x over 1, we know that's x. 2 divided by 2 equals 1. So here I divided by 2. Let's go over here and try it live. Divide by 2. Go, look at that, x equals 1. So there's my answer. I have 1x here equals 1. And later you'll see this has to be a positive x. Thank you.